Rachel Mead here, president and founder of Enhanced Prep. Thanks for joining me today while we take a look at this SAT reading question. Now, this happens to be a question about charts and graphs, and so that means we need to analyze our comprehension as well as making sure that we're comfortable gathering our data from our graphic here. So let's start by breaking down our question. Which choice best describes data from the table? So this tells me that information from my table has to be true, and it needs to complete the comparison. That comparison is going to be coming from my reading comprehension portion. So I need to do both of these things. Now, it doesn't matter which one we necessarily do first and foremost, but we do need to make sure that we're working on both pieces of this. But the first thing I want to do to save some time is I want to pay attention to what is happening in my table, because the data from the table could be a much faster way for me to get through this question. So let's analyze our answer choices, see which ones might not have true data from our table, and see if we can eliminate any answer choices before we spend time working on our reading comprehension. So let's see what we have happening first. So the first asteroid that we're discussing is Sedna. And it says that Sedna is 2.9 billion kilometers from the sun. So that part is true. It says it has a radius of 995. That is true. So I'm good there so far. Let's take a look at the second part of this. We can see that it's telling us we have Aries, which is 14.4 billion kilometers from the sun. That part is true. And it has a radius of 1163. That part is also true. So right now, everything from my table is telling me that answer choice A is true. Let's take a look at B. B is coming through and talking to me about Aries, and it says it has the largest distance from the sun. So if I'm looking at my sun column and I'm moving down, I see Aries does indeed have the largest distance from the sun. And then it says it has the shortest orbital period at 284 years. Now that is false because I can see my orbital period is 199. So I'm going to eliminate B because it does not have direct data from my table. Let's take a look at our next one. We're going to come back to Sedna again here. It has the largest orbital period. That is true. Again, I'm looking at my orbital period column here. Even though it is not furthest from the sun, that is also true. I can see Aries is furthest from the sun. So C also matches up to my table. Let's take a look at D. I'm going to come back and I'm going to take a look at Aries here. It has the second largest radius. Let's see what we have going on here. It does have the second largest radius. I need to come over to that radius column. But the smallest orbital period, that is also true. Okay, so we were able to get rid of one answer choice looking at information from our table, but nothing more than that. So now I need to come through and I need to look at the second portion. Complete the comparison. So let's see what we have here in our comparison. I'm going to skim and scan until I find something in my paragraph that talks about a comparison, and I see a direct relationship. That is a type of comparison. A direct relationship says as this goes up, the other thing goes up, or as this goes down, the other thing goes down. They're doing the same thing at the same time. And she said that this relationship had to do with the distance from the sun and the orbital period. Wait a minute. Did we see both of these things in all of our answer choices? Well, no. If I'm looking at what was happening in A, it's talking about the radius. And I don't care about the radius because it's not part of my comparison. So even though I haven't analyzed everything else in A completely, I need to get rid of it because it doesn't have the right comparison that I need. Let's take a look at what else we have. Well, we see radius and orbital period coming into play with D here as well, which means that this is also false. So that's going to leave me with C. Let's, if we have time, double check and make sure that it's talking to us about the correct relationship. It's talking to us about the period and the distance. And I see again, I need my period and I need my distance. And it says they should be doing the same thing. Does Sedna have our largest period? Absolutely, but it's not farthest from the sun. That is also true. So again, if it's a direct relationship, both of those things should be happening at the same time. So my correct answer is C. Hopefully, this helps you save time as you're analyzing your graphic-based questions in the SAT reading so you can get more points in your point bucket. See you soon.